Matthew Pavlich was one of the great AFL players of the modern era. Having now hung his boots up, he's working on being a founder of one of the great disruptive businesses of the modern era. And I reckon he might just be onto something. It's episode 449 of the award-winning Small Business Big Marketing Show, thanks to American Express.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show, where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reed.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of marketing tomfoolery. I'm your host, Timbo Reed. You, infinitely more importantly, you're a motivated business owner. And you are ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. Today's episode is made possible thanks to American Express, whose business card programs can help optimize your cash flow. And I know you all want a bit of that and help grow your business. You want a bit of that, as well as offering an outstanding choice of rewards that could have you flying sooner than you think. And I know you want a bit of that. Google Amex Business to find out more. Hey, big show today. We meet AFL legend Matthew Pavlich, who's working hard at making it easy for anyone with a budget to access sporting stars for a social occasion, a marketing event, for whatever. Interesting little idea, very disruptive as well. Steve Sims and I share another way to make your precious clients go wow, and a concerned listener shares why her Google listing was unexpectedly taken down without even her knowing. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I can't hear you.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Did someone say something?
You know what that means, team? It's time for another business building tip to wow those beautiful and precious clients of yours, thanks to our great mates at American Express, whose business card programs also make the smart business owner go wow. And as usual, we're joined all the way from the City of Angels by Steve Sims, who happens to be like a really good speaker around the topic of wow and a best-selling author of Bluefishing, the Art of Making Things Happen. Steve, welcome back. And how
hello,
can...
Tom.
Oh, hello. And I forgot you were there. I thought I was talking to myself. How can we wow our clients this week?
This is brilliant. It's video text. That's what I want to get into.
I like that. They're a bit scary for some. I think immediately many small business owners hear the word video. They go, not for me. So how can we use it to make our clients go, wow?
That's very simple. For a start, I can't spell very well, and I've never, ever got my spelling wrong in a video that I've done. So
Yes.
here's a couple of the statistics to get your head around for a start. You pick up your phone, and you've got 100 emails, yet in the top left corner where it's got the text, you got 10 texts. Let me ask you the question. What do you open first?
The texts.
Every single time, never, ever had anyone said, oh, I opened up 1,000 emails first and ignore the text. You see, the thing about text is there's no spam filters. It doesn't go anywhere. It gets through every single time. So if you just pick up that smartphone that you own, video a little text on it and go, hey, Tim, I know we were discussing XYZ project. I wanted to take some time to go into that. When's a good time to communicate with you? And then text it to them. It will jump above any email. Your spelling won't be off. It'll get your tonality, your visual. So try and make sure you've got a cool backdrop in the back. But quite simply, it's a short, powerful way of being right in front of their face on the front of their phone every single time you send it.
You know, I challenge you on the cool backdrop. A great idea. If you can do a cool backdrop, then do it. But I wouldn't put that pressure on people. I'd say just get the phone. I think the fact that you are going to the trouble of sending a video text to a client, whether you've got a white wall backdrop or maybe not, I was going to say if you're in prison, but probably don't do it if you're in prison. That's not a good look. But otherwise, I just think, that's going to make any client go, wow, this business owner, this business is thinking of me enough. And what I love about that Sims is that it has a very high perceived value to the recipient at a very, very low cost to you, the sender.
Oh, you're completely right. I don't want you stressing on a backdrop. When I said a cool backdrop, you say about the white wall. I think a cool backdrop would be you just walking through the park or you walking down the street with your street behind you. Just some kind of ambience. I would say try and avoid the white wall. But if you're walking through your office, then, hey, walk through your office and quickly record it and say, hey, I'm on my way to a business meeting, but I wanted to get this message out to you. It shows urgency and it shows you care.
Well, there you go, team. Thanks to American Express. That is another killer way to make your precious clients go wow. To find out how Amex can add a little wow to your business, Google Amex Business after the show. Sims, it's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Till next time.
Oh, I love those wow segments. I hope you do too, and I hope you're implementing what old Simsy over there from LA, where is he? LA, the City of Angels, is suggesting. Righto, now, for anyone who doesn't follow Aussie rules football, our next guest is a bit of a legend in that sport. Matthew Pavlich played over 300 games for the Fremantle Dockers, was their captain for 8 years, and was a 6-time best and fairest. It's the best football league in Australia. Well, I'm biased, and I know some of you are not going to agree with that, but the guy's a legend. Retiring in 2016, he went on to complete his MBA, then got involved in his first serious business venture called PickStar, which is Australia's largest marketplace to book sporting stars for like any event, any marketing campaign, any fan experience you're looking for. I love PickStar for a couple of reasons. It's disruptive. It's disrupting an antiquated, is that the right word? Antiquated? I think that's right. Antiquated way of booking talent in a really big way. And it also makes it possible, and that's what I really like, for small business owners like you to book sporting talent for your marketing campaigns that previously it was just too hard to do. They were too hard to access. So listen up. I started off by asking Matthew what life was like after leaving such a coveted football career.
I guess my whole philosophy throughout my 17 years in the AFL was to have a balance and to keep really occupied off the field. So I was fortunate to study and disciplined to study 2 degrees while I was playing and have various other interests, which no doubt we'll get into. But from that perspective, I think I was always preparing for life after football and having a number of things to keep me occupied. But it's still a tricky time to traverse and get through.
You've always had, from what I can tell and what I've read, an interest in business to the point of going ahead and getting your MBA. What do you love about business?
In many ways, it's not dissimilar to being involved in a sporting team in that you have, generally speaking, you have a common purpose in mind. You have a team that are working towards that. You're dealing with people that have plenty of issues and problems that you need to help and assist and guide with. And it's invigorating. You get up each day with a purpose in mind. The general purpose of getting up and being invigorated by trying to achieve, I think all human beings have that in them.
Did you have an idea, Matthew, upon leaving the AFL of a business you wanted to start? I know we're going to talk about PickStar, which is your big focus now, but did you have a sense of what you wanted to do?
I wanted to have variety. Having done the same thing every day for the last 17 years,
yes.
I wanted to have a little bit of a variety in my life. I wanted to do something different. Although I had, interests outside of football, it was my singular focus for 17 years and probably, 3 or 4 years before I got drafted. So let's call it in excess of 20 years of a passion. And it was my passion and largely having a passion is entirely positive for people, but in as I said in my exiting the game, I wanted to have a number of different things to invigorate me, to inspire me, and that's what business and a number of different things at the moment have allowed me to do.
What's it like going from footy, where you have a singular focus, you know exactly what needs to be done every single day, to now, by the sounds of it, you have a number of different business interests? Is that a challenge? Do you love allocating your time to different things? How do you manage that mentally?
It's a challenge, definitely. I think at times it's a frustration for those around me, be it family or business partners, because they know I've got other commitments and constantly on my toes, which I think is great. The time management aspect, or at least compartmentalizing the day. Yes. Even just like, I'm gonna spend the next 2 hours smashing out some work for PickStar, and I know I've got an interview for Channel 9 a bit later this afternoon, and then I've got a meeting for PMY Group, at another time. So it's I think some people find that disturbing. I'm the opposite. I really thrive off those challenges.
It's interesting. I was interviewing a lady only last week in Bali, and her name's Janet Deneve, and Janet is similar. She has about 10 different businesses. She's building an empire in Ubud. She's got a beautiful hotel. She's got cafes, restaurants. She's got a homeware store, a travel business, a cooking school. And she too, she's actually a highly creative person. And for her, who has a very limited attention span, it's her way of kind of, keeping things interesting. I don't imagine you would have a limited attention span. You'd be a very focused person. So you're sort of like, you're doing the same thing as Janet, but in a different way. Yeah. I mean, I think it's and this is something that all human beings go through, all people go through as they get. I'm 37 now, a couple of years out of playing the AFL, and I left home at 17 and got, drafted from Adelaide across to Perth where I knew no one. So, the vast experiences and the lessons I had to learn, the failures, the successes individually and as a team, and all those different things, you know yourself a lot better when you're my age. You still got a lot to work out, but I was only talking the other day to my wife that at 25 you think you've got everything sorted, but it's so incorrect. Like, you just got so much to learn. Oh, mate, I reckon whoever put us on this earth, they must have considered, should I start them off really old and wise and let them grow young, or should I start them young and stupid and let them grow wise? And clearly they made the second decision. But you used your personal brand to grow other people's businesses, I guess, for many years while you're playing for Freo. Listening right now, a whole lot of small business owners who, first of all, could build their own personal brand, but secondly, use a personality like yourself. Could you give us an example of how you worked with a business and successfully provided them with a return on investment and you got a return on investment? And I'll just tell you, the undercurrent of that question is that I see a lot of businesses go down the path of using other people's personal brands and not getting anything from it.
During and even post my playing career, I had some great sponsors and associations with the likes of Adidas, Home Loans, Woodside, and a number of others. And I think where it's, and I know this is going to sound a bit cliche, but where it's authentic, where I was engaged with them both market facing in an advertising campaign, but also internally, engaged with their team, doing some things with their group, high performing teams, leadership aspects of the lessons I learned. I think it really helps. Where it's okay, we need a sports star, where we want to promote this, and it's kind of an ad hoc, really quickly put together piece of advertising or marketing. I think people see through that pretty quickly, but both on the market facing side, but also internally, and it won't be an ongoing relationship. So
there must have been one sponsor company or person within that company that really got the most out of you. Is there a particular trait that you could kind of identify that other business owners could use to get the best out of a personality?
Being really driven in the sense of, okay, we've engaged this personality. Let's call it an athlete. You've engaged an athlete to help promote your product, your services, and being really clear on the objectives. Our objectives here are to get X, and whatever X may be, and that's up to the business owners to understand that. Here's our clear objectives, and then to really drive that, and don't. It's a bit like setting a game plan in a game of football or any sport. Like, here's our game plan. We don't want to move away from that too much. This is our strategy.
Hey, I'm guessing your business has many, many needs. Maybe you need extended cash flow to bring to life that genius marketing idea that you've been sitting on for way too long. Or maybe you'd love a rewards points program that had you flying at the pointy end of the plane on the trip of a lifetime. Maybe you'd just like a business tool that made running that beautiful business of yours just that little bit easier. Well, here's what I'd do. After the show, check out American Express's range of business cards designed specifically to help small businesses like yours. Simply Google Amex Business to find out more. Now, back to the interview. Thanks to American Express, we're chatting with ex-AFL star and now PickStar co-founder Matthew Pavlich. Matthew, let's talk about PickStar. What is it and why did you start it?
Oh, it's a commercial marketplace connecting brands and fans to athletes. So it's a online marketplace, a platform that James Begley and I founded. He's an ex-AFL player as well who we grew up, believe it or not, in Adelaide together in a roundabout way, and both went our separate ways. He got drafted over to St Kilda and I obviously got drafted to Freo, and we met up sort of about 10 or so years later. And amongst other things, James was involved with working with brands in the leadership, sort of high-performing teams, holding each other accountable, creating a value set, all those things. And what he found was that there was a huge demand from people, from brands and fans to engage with athletes, to hear their inspiring stories, to get a sense of what a high-performing team, how they operate. And so he was just, emailing, texting a few of his contacts, a few of his network, and asking could they come to a session that he was running and provide some insight. And what he found was there was demand on both sides. There was demand from the brands and fans, and clearly there was a demand from the athletes to be paid for these opportunities. So it was his idea. We then went about raising a small amount of money, creating the platform. And the last 12 or so months has been really strong.
Well, what's different is it, and what's disruptive about it, having looked at it, and I do a lot of keynote speaking myself, and I'm always dealing with speaker bureaus face-to-face. Some experiences are really good. A lot of them aren't that good. Whereas what you've done, I think, is disrupt that by putting the whole thing online. Is that right? I mean, it's basically PickStar's a technology company.
Yeah, well, then that's our ambition. That's our aspiration. We want to be a tech company, and fundamentally, we know there's about 72 steps in the process of searching for a starter, booking a starter, getting them paid. Whether it's a speaker like you were just talking about yourself, an athlete, or whoever. So, fundamentally, the new platform provides the ability to process, manage the whole transaction, not only at a lower cost but more efficiently, and automate all of those interactions.
So essentially, it's a bit like Upwork or Design Crowd. If you're talking from a graphic design point of view or web design, you put a brief on these websites. Some people, designers or web developers or whoever you're wanting from all over the world reply to your brief with a pitch or with a proposal. You shortlist them. You have a bit of a discussion online, chat with them about, can you do this? Can you do that? And then you choose one.
Yeah, spot on. So a client, be it an individual fan or a big brand, would put a brief in. They've got a function coming up. They want 2 athletes to attend. Out of the 1,000-odd athletes we have on our platform, you can shortlist the talent that you want, and then that goes direct to them. So they'll get notified on the athlete app that we have, and you can interact with those athletes as well as our team back at headquarters. What we're now doing is turn around opportunities just like that, call it a cocktail party at a corporate function in front of 120 people. We're turning around in 24 hours now, which used to be, because of the automation and because of the way the platform works, which used to be a long and convoluted process of back and forth with managers.
Mate, it could take weeks.
Yeah, correct. So it's really exciting about what we're hoping to do. There's a number of these booking platforms for talent. So there's not many of these booking platforms at all. We're the only one really doing this effectively and efficiently.
So what I also find amazing is that you talk about brands and individuals. So correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe give us an example if I'm right, but little Johnny down the street who's turning 10, his old man could get onto PickStar and put a brief out. He's I don't know, I'm making up an amount here. He's got $200 and he'd love a sporting personality to come to his 10th birthday party to help him cut the cake. Can that be possible?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done opportunities in our system from as little as $200 all the way through to $30,000-$40,000 brand ambassador roles. So completely for individual fans. We've done a number of birthday parties, coffees, lunches for individual fans. Skills clinics. We had 3 West Coast Eagles players go to a birthday party and run a skills clinic. And so what we found is that clearly there's a demand from individual fans, but also from the corporate network to get these high profile talent in. But what we found from the athlete side is that it's not necessarily the budget that the athletes are have their paramount focus on. Our budget's important, and being commercial is important, but they have other passions and availability, the location of the opportunity, what they're passionate about. There's been some great not-for-profit opportunities that athletes have said they'll do as well. So it really is opening up what I think's been quite a fragmented market for a long time.
Matthew, I've got listeners ranging from plumbers and masseuses to, lawyers and people who own, large lawn-mowing franchises and everything in between. Can we just focus for a minute on, I think it's quite exciting, how all of a sudden they could start embracing this kind of ambassador strategy within their business using PickStar?
Well, I guess for a long time, either you needed to know the individual athlete or talent, you had to know their management, or you had to bring the club or industry body that they represented. Now, that would take, let alone if you were lucky to find,
good luck getting through those Dobermans.
So the point being is, open this opportunity up, and you're right. Whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a law firm, whether it's a lawn mowing round, the local cafe down the road, the blue chip brands of Australian corporate sphere, they have now the opportunity for small one-off transactions with talent, or ongoing relationships and ambassadorships, which often are the ones that not only are fantastic opportunities for the athletes, but get the real cut through for the brands as well.
A couple of things come to mind in terms of getting this idea to market. One is, how on earth did you get past talent managers who I would have thought would have been protecting that space to within an inch of their lives?
So that's the first question everyone asks, including the myriad of managers that we now work with. We don't want to be talent managers. We're not. That's not our business. We're not here for. We love athletes, and we are for athletes, and we want to tell their stories. We want to show the great side of athletes, but we're not talent management agencies. We are here providing them commercial opportunities, and what we know for a fact is that a lot of these talent managers have a large number of athletes on their books, and find it really hard to create opportunities for them. Not everyone can be in the, if I come from the world that I was involved in, the AFL, really only the top 10% of players are the ones that get the big contracts, the big ambassadorships, etc. The rest of them, and that's almost 800 odd athletes. In the AFL, at least, they're the ones who are sort of scrapping around for other opportunities that we know there's a market for. So what we say to the managers is that, hey, look, all we're going to do, we're providing a platform for you and your client to have more commercial opportunities. And so when it's put in those terms, they're a bit more approachable. Okay.
So the other one that strikes me is, how do you get around this one? I suppose the answer is that the talent can say no. But what if I go onto PickStar and I reach out to some athletes and I want them to say, hey, if you love business, then you should be listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. And I want them to record that on their iPhone and send me a video. I mean, of course, they can say no to that. But how do you manage that side of things?
Yeah, so our system is, I guess, savvy enough for the athletes to, as straightforward as saying no, decline. We won't accept that opportunity, and the client, in this case, you, Tim, would understand that. I'm thinking out loud, but Gary Ablett says no, I'm not interested in that opportunity. But the other one is, obviously there's the last couple of checks for your athletes. They've got any conflicting sponsor issues, and other sort of aspects that could put them in trouble. The last thing we want to do is have an athlete come under scrutiny from their club, from their industry body saying, hey, you did a gig for Samsung, but we're sponsored by Apple. So yeah, there's some checks and balances that we've put in place in the background in the system that tries to alleviate any of those issues going forward. But Tim, if you want someone to a couple of athletes to promote your business, put an opportunity in the system.
Hey, well, I might do that. I look forward to you sending me through a few credits to just try it out.
Yeah.
Tell me, I'm interested, Matthew, in getting PickStar to market. I understand it's 4 years old, and in the early days, like any small business, you ground it out, just trying to get the thing live and to market and understood. I mean, there's a whole educational process around, disrupting an industry and booking talent in a whole new way. How do you reflect back on that first sort of 6 months?
The grind, yeah, the absolute grind. I'm going to name drop here for a minute, Tim, but I got to spend a bit of time with Roger Federer when he was in Perth for the Hopman Cup, and I asked him at 37, why are you still playing? He said, I love it, but I actually love the grind, and it sort of was a nice a moment for me. It was like, in reflecting on PickStar, is that there's been this huge challenge, particularly for James and the team, I think, who are living it daily, that trying to explain, as you said, a disruptor who can work hand in glove with management, with athletes, and with brands, so we scraped together some mum and dad's funding and family and friends, sort of, as you said, 3 or 4 years ago.
You weren't one of those blokes that knocking on your mate's doors going, I think I've got a good idea. You got a few bucks?
Well, that was James. I'll blame James for that,
right.
Not me. So we did that, and then literally we were scrapping away for 3 years, and then the last sort of 12 or 18 months we got some extra funding, and our growth has been, I guess, running concurrently with us going to market and getting some more funding and getting the system live. It's really the what we've always dreamt of has really only been live for call it 8 months.
In its current form. Tell me, was there a moment then, I'm always interested to understand that moment where you might have looked James in the eye and gone, I think we're onto something. I think we've hit a tipping point where this thing is going to work, or you're not there yet?
Yeah, no, I think we're pretty close to having that moment. I'm not sure we're quite there that this thing will work. We had a moment of, can this thing work? We had a moment of looking at each other going, oh, gee whiz, what have we got ourselves into?
What
probably
there?
When we saw this thing growing, our revenue was growing, but our runway of cash was just running out. And so, like any other small business, cash flow is so critical. But we could see the automation and the system really starting to work. So on one hand, we were pumped that, hey, look, this thing can actually generate revenue. This is great. But on the other side was, okay, we need to really do it if we're believing in this. And I think we're affirming that we do believe in it. Then we're going to have to go back to the well a bit and recharge ourselves.
It is a new idea, PickStar. It is a disruptive idea. How have you gone about marketing it and getting the name out there?
I guess most people's and most companies' strategy, particularly those trying to get to the demographic that sits, call it 15 through to 50. Really, the best way to target them isn't the traditional advertising methods. It's to go digital, and so our in-house marketing team, led by Andrew Montesi, has really driven that way. For a long time we were just doing Google AdWords, and that seemed to be relatively effective. But we've done a number of initiatives now in using our athletes, using examples of the transactions, using clients and brands, and hearing from them about their experiences. But really, it is based around the digital aspects of marketing and pushing that hard.
I worked with the late Jim Steins, Matthew, for a couple of years on a project, a passion project of his to bring it to life. And one of the things Steins he was very good at was opening boardroom doors, which, as you would be. I mean, for those who don't know who Jim Steins was, AFL legend, a much loved player of the AFL. So Jim would use his personal brand to open the boardroom door, and then, the sales blokes would run in after him. Have you been doing that with PickStar?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess with all my business roles that I have, that's largely a large part of my role. So, yeah, fortunate to have met and networked strongly over the 17 years that I played, particularly here in WA, in Perth, but down in Melbourne and where I grew up in Adelaide as well.
What do you do there? Whereas you're a name and a face in definitely in WA.
Yeah, the southern states, I guess you could turn that. So for us, it's been from a marketing exercise, particularly from an athlete, getting athletes engaged and activated on the side, is to go to the talent manager agencies. And it's amazing. Australia is so small because it doesn't take much, to pull the phone out and give someone a call and say, "Oh, how about you speak to this person? They know X, Y, and Z." And that could be corporately, as you said, the boardroom, but it could also be, getting in front of an athlete. So, and that's why we've been able to build organically, the 1,000 athletes. We haven't done one piece of marketing or spent $1 on any of those athletes jumping onto our platform.
What's the hardest thing you find about business, Matthew?
People. So,
Yes.
as always, it's not dissimilar to you get footy and life. People are the best thing in life, and they can also be the most challenging in the sense that they're the ones that sometimes force make you to get up and work and help and assist, and you get so much satisfaction and enjoyment out of that. But also they can be the hardest aspect, staffing, dealing with issues that bob up here and there. So
you've stayed fit for many, many years. You're now in business. You're one of these football players that have stacked on the kegs in the last kind of 2 years since retirement, or if not, how are you staying fit?
I've tried not to. Yeah, it's a battle. It's an ongoing battle.
Is it?
I've put on a couple of kilos, definitely. Happy to admit that, but I've tried to. It's funny. I didn't do anything for about, when I say anything, I didn't go for a run. I've got 3 young children, so was playing around with them, but I literally didn't do any proper form of exercise for 6 weeks once I retired, and I started feeling a bit uneasy, or I didn't really know what it was, but I decided to go for a run finally, and I felt so much better afterward. And it was a gentle jog along the beach, basically. It wasn't anything.
Mate, what's a gentle jog along the beach for Matthew Pavlich look like?
When I say on the beach, not actually on the sand, but along the foreshore, probably about a 5K slow jog.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, nothing too serious, but and then I felt so much better, and then I realised, psychologically, it's so beneficial to get moving and exercising. So I try to. It was a bit of a penny drop because I did it. It was my job. I did for 17 years. I didn't realise how important it was for me psychologically to exercise. So for me, a minimum of 3 times a week if I can, something, whether that's a run in the gym or something.
As the captain of the Fremantle Football Club, you would have been a mentor to many. As a football player, you would have had mentors in coaches and other people in your life. Do you now have mentors in your business life?
Yeah, I do. So I've been pretty fortunate to meet some great business people. Richard Goyder springs to mind immediately, who is actually a good family friend of my wife. He's been great. Peter Coleman from Woodside, I've had a bit to do with over the years. And then a really good mate of mine, Paul Yeomans, who is the founder and managing director of PMY Group, the other sort of business I'm involved with. He's sort of shown us the appetite and the desire to grow and how to really found a business and get it moving. So there's a few that spring to mind. Yeah.
How do you that relationship? Is it a formal relationship where you meet with your mentor once a month and have a coffee and bleed your heart out, or do you just call them when you're trying to nut something out? What's that look like?
it's not formal. It's if and when so when I say it's not formal, it's not like, okay, every month on this day we catch up, but every couple of months I would catch up with one of those guys just to bounce off a few ideas and thoughts and really just touch base. And I've always found that interesting. So I obviously worked with sports psychologists while I was playing in the AFL, and other, so Neil McLean, who I work with larger, he's another, I guess, mentor or someone I like catching up with, because he just gives a really different perspective towards your way of thinking. And I think that's what mentors are there for. They're not there to tell you what to do, but to challenge you, ask a lot of questions and to help you find the solutions. And those people certainly do that.
Last question, and a fleeting mentor, I'm guessing, was Roger Federer. What else did he teach you besides enjoy the grind? All the things that everyone says, how to handle yourself publicly for a long period of time is quite remarkable. His polish and his gravitas is something that most people aspire to. The way he speaks to everyone, the way he goes about his business in every walk of life is pretty inspiring. Yeah, incredible athlete. And as were you, Matthew, thank you, mate, for sharing, post-football journey, your new business journey, and I wish you all the luck with PickStar. Thank you very much, Tim. It's been great chatting. Well, there you go, team. AFL sporting legend, now disruptive business owner Matthew Pavlich. What do you think of PickStar? I like it. I reckon he really is onto something. Be sure to hang around after my top 3 attention grabbers as listener Laura Klein shares why she had a Google My Business listing taken down. But first, thanks to American Express, here's what grabbed my attention from that chat with Matthew Pavlich. Attention grabber number 1. I just love how PickStar is disrupting a really antiquated marketplace. Like, it really has been hard, as I said in the interview, to book people, whether it be sporting stars, marketing speakers, whatever it may be. And I think the technology that Matthew and his team are creating could be a game changer. Attention grabber number 2, not so much from Matthew Pavlich, but from Roger Federer. Hey, dropping some names in episode 449. I loved his quote about loving the grind. How do you keep going? He loves the grind. And, I hear from a lot of successful business owners talking about not necessarily using the word grind, but just rolling the sleeves up and doing the work that is necessary to achieve success. What is it, 10,000 hours? Oh, that's scary. Attention grabber number 3. Exercise is psychologically beneficial, says Pav. We know that, don't we? We know it. If you're not exercising, if you're not spending time on your well-being, physical, mental, spiritual well-being, please do. You'll be a better business owner. You will achieve better results. I'll guarantee it. That's what grabbed my attention. I'd love to know what grabbed yours, or if you're going to implement anything from this episode, please head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/449. Now, you may remember a few weeks ago I did a 2-part episode on answering all your search engine optimization questions, where Dana DiTomaso from Kickpoint, she's the leading local SEO expert in the world, answered all those questions. If you haven't listened to it, probably go back and have a listen. It's one of my most popular episodes certainly the last 12 months. And I got a letter from Laura Klein of snottynoses.com.au. What a great business name. In regards to that episode, and in regards to a specific question she asked around Google My Business listing. She says, "Hi, Tim and Dana. Thanks so much for that SEO episode. I've had a Google My Business account for snottynoses.com.au for a few years. I have around 110 Google reviews, but I had no idea that Google posts could help my ranking." That was a great tip Dana gave around making sure you do a little Google post. I think she said like once a week, helps your SEO. So Laura goes on to say, "I contacted Google My Business to ask for help with doing Google posts, and then, shock horror, they've taken down my Google My Business listings, so no customer can see my reviews, my Google reviews." By the way, that's a brilliant idea, even though it sort of backfired, Laura, to ring Google and ask how to best do posts. I like that. Laura goes on to say, "Their reasoning for taking it down is that online stores are not allowed to have Google My Business accounts, and I was so shocked. They are saying I need a physical address in order to reinstate the listing. I run the business from my home in Brisbane and do allow local pickup from the downstairs office, but it's not a retail store. I've taken some pics of my home, she puts in quotes, and told them this is the office where customers can collect their parcels, but there's no big snotty noses sign out the front. Hopefully they reinstate my listing. Dana very kindly replied this. Hi, Laura. You are absolutely allowed a Google My Business page, but you would be a service area business, not a retail location. I'm shocked that the Google My Business person took your listing down, and I would recommend putting in a message via social media on their Facebook or Twitter channels to get your page reinstated. Mention that you are a service area business and that customers do collect parcels from your office. Good answer. So any of you with online businesses who have had that problem or are wondering whether you should get a Google My Business listing, that's what you need to do. Well, that almost wraps up episode 449 of the Small Business Big Marketing Show, sponsored by American Express. Be sure to search Amex Business to find out how your business expenses can reward you. Go and do that. They'll really love you for it. I'll love you for it. And a big thanks to Amex for supporting the new Wow segment. Got some solid interviews coming up, including a chat with a UK jeweller who's standing out in a very competitive marketplace. And customer service or customer experience expert Amanda Stevens will show us how to be a little bit more epic in the way we service our precious customers. I think you have very good reason to be excited. Very, very excited. Don't forget there's an entire back catalogue of about 448 interviews over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. If you love the show, then please let other business owners know about it by grabbing their phone and subscribing to this show for free for them. Show them how podcasts work. More need to know. Until next week, I am Timbo Reid. Thanks for tuning in. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.